This is Rosemary Blind. This is Summer Wells. See a similarity with the faces? Because it is related. They are auntie and niece. Hi guys, welcome to Chip and Mystery Angels. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's commented. Thank you to everybody who's made the effort and put your thumbs up or thumbs down. I much appreciate it. If you're new here, welcome to the family. If you're thinking about subscribing, why not? It's free. We don't charge no money here for your ideas and your thoughts and your feelings. You don't get judged here. And you're respected, no matter what. Okay. So, guys, what did you think of Don's nice little illusion? Nice little special, how can I put this politely? Entertainment of what he did that night he came home. What did you think of that? Pretty good, eh? Still don't make sense, does it? No. So Don's going to use the excuse. Well, I'm not that good at videoing. But I'm going to tell you something now. One, how do we know that that was the actual shed? We never seen around the shed. We never see him approach the shed. We just saw the inside of the shed. Two, he scanned it so fast that you would have to slow it down, but then it goes blur. Three, he wasn't exactly truthful, was he? Because he said, I went up there and this is the shed that I checked. When I saw my boys there and the man there, I knew she was gone. Didn't he say to Chris he couldn't remember if he checked it there and then or checked it later? He said he couldn't remember. So anyway, there's been some people in our group complaining that I'm putting too many videos out and slow down. So I'm trying, but there's so many things going on in my head. I've got ADHD and stuff that I want to share with you. So I'm trying really hard just to do a few at a time. Let me ask you guys a question. You know, illusionist, right? If someone can make the New York statue, the Statue of Liberty, disappear on live TV in front of millions of people, make it just vanish and then reappear. How's that possible? If you have loads and loads of cameras on it and it's live and it's in front of the world, how do you make a statue of Liberty disappear? Just disappear and then reappear like that. Because of a magician. Right, but there's thousands of people watching. There's video footage of it. There's live footage of it. And yet it still disappears, then reappears. Go and have a look at YouTube. Find Statue of Liberty disappearing, then reappearing. Did it really disappear? No. It was just an illusion. How can one person make a whole huge statue disappear in front of millions of people and convince millions of people that you've got that magic, and then make it reappear in front of billions of people? Because you're a magician and you're good at your job, right? Why am I talking quiet? It's 2 o'clock in the morning, my caretaker is asleep, and I've been shouted at because I'm supposed to stay quiet. So I'm going to put the earphones on, I think. Just give me a minute. Okay, is that better? Right, so how do you make the Statue of Liberty disappear in front of TV, cameras, billions of people? Because that's what magicians do. They figure out what your eyes and your head and your brain, how it works, what points it misses, what points it doesn't. And this is exactly the same as what people like Don, predators, do. They can give you invisible bruises where on the outside world it looks like you ain't got no bruises. But inside, they know where to hit you, where to bruise and where not to bruise. All of us in here knows that, don't we, guys? So these people are good on their game. Don's been doing it for years and years and years, and he's perfected it. Just like a magician. And just like a magician, these people make things disappear right in front of your face. It's still standing there. It's still there. The evidence is still there. But they just make you so you can't see it. Just look at the magician. I forget his name now. Urugere, or whatever his name was. He made the Statue of Liberty disappear in front of millions of people that were there. Helicopters were flying over with cameras all around, people taking video footage all around, and yet, boom, gone. Back. How? Well, that's what the police need to find out. That's what the police need to figure out. You know how you get them people that say, I'm going to find out how you did that from the magic circle. And only the people in the magic circle know the secret. But there's some people that won't have it, that know it's fake, that know it's not real. But nobody believes them because they say, well, how can he have done it? He made that statue disappear right in front of me. He didn't do nothing. There was nothing there. 1 minute it was there, next minute it wasn't, then it was. And a lot of people would say that. But there's a small number of people who know about trickery, right? Who know about these things, that play the game. All right, you say that it's not there, fair enough. I believe you believe that you saw that disappear in front of your eyes. But the statue's still there. Just they're making you not see it. Doesn't mean the statue has really disappeared. And this is what I think's happening with this case. Don keeps saying, oh, look, I'll show you what I did. If that Subaru, Don Subaru or Candice's Subaru, whoever's it is, was part of this investigation, Don wouldn't be driving it now, would he? Because the police would have it in custody for evidence. And he wouldn't give it back. Everybody knows when they take your phones and they take your car as evidence and they do things on it, it could take months before you get it back. And when you get it back, it ain't cleaned. So, where's Don's car? Where's Don's white van that he really drives to work? Has anyone seen it on all the pictures, on all the videos? Did you see it when Don was driving up and down? Where's it gone? Has Grandma driven her truck to Wisconsin? Or has she used one of Don's vehicles? And that's why Don's using his vehicle. Did the police seize Grandma's car? Her vehicle? And is that why Don's driving around the Subaru? Because she's borrowed Don's working vehicle? Or did the police take that as well? And if so, why not the Subaru? Do the police believe the Subaru has nothing to do with this? Is it because Don drove the Subaru down to work and left it there? Why would Don's boss, listen carefully to what he says, neither my boss is questioning me. Why would Don's boss is questioning him when Don's boss said to Voice on the Wall or Behind the Wall? Why did Don's boss say, yep, he was there all day. We were there with him. He didn't leave till 5:30. Why would he question Don if he knew Don was there all day? He wouldn't, would he? He'd say, mate, we know you were here. We knew you didn't go anywhere all day. We were with you all day. But Don made it very clear in that video, that show he was showing you, that nice little illusion. He said, neither my boss is questioning me. And I have to go through the evidence and that. Why would you? According to Voice Behind the Wall, your boss said that you were there all day at work. And the Subaru was there all day at work. So why would your boss question you? That doesn't make sense. If your boss was 1,000% positive that you were there all day and your workmates, why would they question you? Why would they say, Don, where were you? What were you doing? That's number one, why I think this is all an illusion. Number two, I don't think he's trying to convince us. I think he's trying to convince the people, the subscribers of the Voice Behind the Wall. Have you noticed mostly it's women following Don? Just saying. That have either lost their children and say, I can't remember. Of course there's some parts you can't remember. But Don is remembering parts that isn't important. And the important parts he's not remembering. When someone says, I don't remember what my child was wearing, yeah, of course they're truthful. course they don't remember, because the brain's all in on it. Like, what? There's so much to remember. Which one's the right thing to say to help me find my child? Don's not doing that in his brain. Now, I looked about Hollywell's and that, the case on Hollywell's in the UK. The two girls. Hollywell's and a friend, right? I looked at the perpetrators of that case, and every single one of them have got the same MO. Want to see it? Okie dokie. All of them are illusionist. So all of them, these are big words, by the way, that we got off Alexa. All of them are illusionists. What do I mean by that? They're you bits of a true story. So when you put it together, it makes no sense, but it sounds like the truth. So if you were taking a lie detector test and they said, is your name Don Wells? Yes. Have you ever picked your nose? Yes. Have you ever had bad thoughts about a child? No. See what I'm saying? It's all illusion. They'll tell you some truths and then put some fake ones in. But because they're missing parts, they're only giving you some of the truth. So for the brain to work, the brain needs to find the nearest thing that makes sense. And this is why autistic people like me get confused a lot. Let me give you an example. A parent, you get into trouble from school for lying to your teacher. So your parent says, right, go into your room, you're staying in your room, you're not watching no TV, you're coming down for dinner and you're back in your room for the rest of the night for lying. I'll call you down for dinner. The next minute, they have someone, a loans company or something like that, knocks on the door to pick up their weekly loan money. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get no benefits this week. Can I pay double next week? Yeah, no problem. You know what benefits are like. It'll be sorted by next week. Okay, no problem. The next minute you get called downstairs and you go, Mom, why did you say you didn't get paid? You just done shopping. Shut up and sit down and eat. How come we're having a takeaway? I thought you didn't have no money. Shut up, sit down and eat. And then go back up to your room for lying. What have you just taught your kid there? If you lie, make sure you get away with it. Make sure you do a good job so people believe you. Or you're going to be punished. Another example. A homophobic man has a male and female child. Right? The male child takes a look at his sister's Barbie doll. She's blonde, beautiful, got lovely clothes on, lovely shoes. So wants that Barbie doll. So goes to pick it up. So the father runs over and says, no, you can't play with them toys. Boys don't play with Barbie dolls. Boys play with action men here. And Forrest is an action man. But I don't want to take the clothes off the action man, Daddy. I want the Barbie doll to take the clothes off the Barbie doll. And I want to play with the Barbie doll. No, boys don't do that. Boys play with action men. Okay, Daddy. Good. Then the boy grows up. then comes home to his mum and dad and says, I got some good news. I'm getting married. Oh, well done, son. What's her name? No, it's not a her. It's a him. What? You told me that I could only play with soldiers. So I got myself a soldier. Do you see what I'm saying, what we do to our children? We think we're in an illusion that we think what we're doing is the right thing, trying to teach them the right thing, but in the end we're not. We're actually teaching them the way you think they should be thought about. And then when it goes wrong, it's no longer the parent's fault, it's the child's fault. Your child grows up to be a liar and stuff like that. Oh, it can't be our fault, we've never done nothing wrong. Oh, so you've never told someone that you've not got the money that day when you needed to pay a bill, but then gone and brought shoes or something like that for school. Well, yeah, but that's different. No, that's the same thing. You're teaching your child to lie and get away with it. But I never thought that would make, everything we do, everything we say, everything we are, our children will pick up on. It's the same for Don. He had to learn how, you don't learn how to be a predator, but you do learn how to be a better predator so you don't get caught. So if he's got someone in his family that he can look up to, that he can relate to, that he can learn from, then he becomes a better predator. Right? That doesn't mean it's because of that person he was a predator or he was becoming a predator. It was because he was already a predator, but he was learning from that person to become an even better one. So when his mentor makes a mistake and gets arrested, he knows not to make that mistake. So this is why the case and of Summer Wells is all in confusion. People are confused. Did they do it? Didn't they do it? Was they involved? Wasn't they involved? But this is what you've got to do. You've got to step back and say, what are the traits of someone like Don? What are the traits of someone like Candy? What are the traits of someone like Candace, the mum of Summer? Then you look at the overwhelming evidence, the real truth, which is them children was not properly, safely looked after. Yes, they had a roof over their head, barely. Yes, they had food in their stomachs, barely. They had 11 acres of land, barely. So that's what the police are looking at, the actual truth. But then you've got human nature to feel empathy. But let me tell you about predators. There's two types of predators, but they all have the same trait. They need everyone to have empathy for them to do what they keep doing. So the more they do it, the more they learn to make people give them that empathy and put it in an illusion so you can't see it's happening till it's too late. That's why so many parents go, I never knew. I thought he was such a good person. Or when it's a serial killer or something, they said, I've lived with him for 20, 30 years. I didn't even notice. He was such a good husband, such a good dad. I mean, he looked after the kids loads of times. Why didn't he do it? Because he needed you as a family to be his illusion. So he could do it right in front of your faces. So I was looking at all the predators, all predators. You know which ones I mean, from everything. And this is what I've come up with. So the illusionists, they interject into the investigations every single time in one way or another, whether it's writing to the police, whether it's phoning the police, whether it's talking and interviews and stuff like that. They're constantly in there. They always give the police possible scenarios and people possible scenarios to be able to create the illusion of it could be, it might be, it's possible. They confuse the investigation, either phone in a different name, pay someone to phone in, like a prostitute or something, that they give them money where they can phone in on their behalf and say whatever. Call in loads, make up profiles, inject themselves into different parts of the media world to make different profiles. And they'll say, oh, so I could listen to what they said, but it's not. It's the fact they need to know what people are saying about them from all over the media, all over, because they need to control every part of this investigation. Because if someone reveals their illusion, they reveal everything. So they need to keep on top of that illusion. That's why Don's exhausted. Do I believe Don and Candice have done something? I know they've done something. They've both been abusers in some way or another, and they both failed their children. One's missing and the others have been brought into custody and going to be brought up in CPS's care, which is not good. Them poor kids have no chance. It's either stay at home with them and suffer, or be in the care of the state and suffer. It's all their choices are. Right. The next thing is that word. Do you know what that word is? So what they're doing, so they're concentrating on the investigator, on the investigators. So what they're doing is every investigator that gets close or is a threat, they try to make everyone go against them. They try to belittle what they're doing. Now, don't forget, the investigators, if you want your child found, if you want the investigators to succeed, you need to help them with everything. You need to, if you remember anything, do anything, you need to be on their side for them to find your child. Right? But the way not to get them to find your child is to make them not feel adequate enough as an investigator. Show people their downfalls, their failures. That's what these people do. So then other people in the world that are looking on these investigators are going, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And question the investigator. Because the investigator has to answer every single question, look at every single possibility, they can't do their jobs because they're too busy proving who they are and what they've done and what's true and what isn't. And the only people that are involving themselves in the investigations, investigators, are the people, and the only people who are saying they're no good, they're not doing anything, and discrediting them happens to be Don and his little minions, his friends. The especially voice behind the wall. Instead of sitting there going, look, Chris made a few mistakes, but he's learnt. Look how young Chris was when he interviewed that boy. That's how you learn to be the best investigator you can. by mistakes. Isn't it true they tell you, let your children make mistakes, just cushion the blow so they don't get hurt as much as they can? But the real truth is, they still need to make them mistakes to become better. And the more mistakes they make, the better they will be at that problem. So, yes, Chris might have made a few mistakes years and years and years ago when he started. But now he's not going to. Now he's going to be the best he can be. So why wouldn't you support a person who's freely coming down and doing this on his own time? Why wouldn't you? Because you know that person's a threat. He knows that Chris is really good at his job. He knows he's got a lot of high-profile police officers around the world good at their job. And this kind of people on that job will pull down the illusion and show people the true thing. They're the type of people that the magic circle don't want in their lives, because they'll jump on them. Oh, you did that. You had that in your sleeve. The reason how you did that magic trick was because of that. The way you did it was because of this. Do you see what I'm saying? So the magician doesn't want you in there shouting what they're doing, and revealing their tricks, because then it's no longer an illusion. It's no longer special. So they discredit that person so people don't believe them, so they can keep the illusion going because it's making them money. So that's what Don's doing. Them poor people at Voice Behind the Wall, they're so taken in by his illusions. It's so like, I feel sorry for them. I really do. Them too. They don't understand at all. They don't get it. It's such a crying shame they've got children, to be fair, at the minute. They're just so delusional. They're saying, well, what are we doing wrong? We're answering questions. No, but you're asking questions and letting Don. This is why it confuses people. Because one minute he says one thing to one creator and he says to another. The reason why he's doing that is because his illusion needs to make it so your people will believe it. Because you're a different type of person to Chris is. You have a different experience than Chris does. So he needs to fit into your MO, if you like. Half-truths. So like I said, what he does is, he does half-truths. 99% of what he's telling everyone is the truth. He did get up. He did go to work. Summer was underneath him. Summer was in his bed. But it's the bits, the lies in between, that he hides it right in front of you. But he also says things that are the truth, but the brain doesn't pick up because it doesn't make sense in that sentence. The reason why I've done these in big words is because I don't understand these words. Doesn't mean they don't exist. And that word, until I figure it out. So take this big word, right? Now, people will look at that big word, and the people who can't read it and understand it will never know what that word means. And even if they had this sentence, the investigation, they still wouldn't know what that word was. But then when you change it to a word that somebody does know, then it makes sense. Right? So you can have a great big word. Does this mean that there's no such thing as confusing because you don't understand that word? No. It's still the word that means the same thing. It's just said differently for our brains to understand it. And each one of us have different long words we don't understand, or have never heard of, or never been taught. So most of us who have never been in this situation with predators, then they won't understand the words. They won't, it makes sense to them, but they don't understand it. But we do, the survivors do, because we've lived with these people. We've seen how they've manipulated the outside world and how they've manipulated us to doing what they want. We've watched them juggle the two worlds. We've watched people like police officers be talked to by the predators, and we're standing there looking, and the officer goes, well, that doesn't look right. Your kids are really underweight. What's going on? Oh, we can't afford, you know what the government's like when you're on benefits? Yeah, that's true. Okay, just see if you can, like, clean them up a little bit, yeah? And they go off, the people that's supposed to save you. Because the truth was right in front of that police officer, but they gave them a good enough plausible explanation that it sounded right, so they were happy with that, so they went off. See, voice behind the wall, they're both confused. They're confused as much as we all are. But what Don's doing is giving them such an illusion that they're like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. No, what doesn't make sense is what Don's saying to you. How do you know that's Don's route? How do you know that's Don's shed? How do you know this isn't what he wants you to believe? How do we know it's not the shed at the bottom of the garden that he's mentioned about 50 times? You know, as he turns that corner, he keeps mentioning that shed in the interviews. I went past that shed. This is the infamous shed. No, it's not. That's not the one on the property that Chris said, can I have a look into? He said he went past the shed. When you go past it up to his road, there's a shed on someone else's property. But you can get it on through Don's property. It's a brown one. If you have a look, you'll see it. That's the shed everyone's talking about, not that shed. Number two, when he shows you the shed on the property, he quickly scans through it. Look, see, crap. See what I mean? Nothing in there. There's no room. Where would you hide? Yeah, move all the stuff out then and let's have a look at the actual shed. See if there's any little holes, any little areas where there's doors. That junk could be hiding somewhere. We could have just seen where Summer's body is. But because it's full of stuff and he panned over it really fast, most people would accept that and say, well, yeah, look, it's so full, there's no way anyone can hide in here. But what if there's junk on top of something that you can't see? But he wouldn't want you to see that. His illusion is that this is full of junk and it's been there for ages. Well, let me ask you a question. If them bikes were there for ages and that stuff wasn't moved, what happens to your shed if you say in the summer put everything in and then leave it to winter and then you open it up? It's full of spider webs, isn't it? It's full of everything. Animals, maybe a couple of birds, dead birds, but loads of spider webs. Loads and loads, because that would be their perfect hunting ground. And yet there was not one spider web on any of the items. There was not one piece of dust on anything. When you walk through that shed, you would be hit by spider webs. He wasn't. There wasn't one spider web. Take a look carefully. But that's the illusion. Oh, this has been here for years. Look, this stuff's not been moved. Well, if it hasn't done, then where's all the spider webs? Where's all the cobwebs? Where's all the dust? Where's the damp rot? Move everything out of that shed slowly while you've got it on camera, so we can see behind things. That big load of trash in the corner, could someone be hiding in there right now? if the police have investigated that, all that lot would be outside. It wouldn't be untouched. But his illusion is, look, it's been like this forever. It's never been touched. Well, that's not true. If the searchers and the police would have been in there, which I think they might have, then they would have moved everything. And that explains why there's no spiders or spider webs or cobwebs or anything. But he's saying it's been like this, nobody's touched it. I'm saying, well, how do we know someone's body's not behind all that lot? Again, an illusion. He pans it so fast you can't slow it down. What, you want Don to take everything out one by one? Yeah, I do. And bit by bit. And show us why nothing's got dust on it, no cobwebs. When he walked through the door, there was no cobwebs, nothing. The door didn't creak. That means the shed's been used quite a lot. That's not the shed. The infamous shed is not the infamous shed. The infamous shed is the one on the corner down the bottom. There's loads of sheds on that property. There's nothing stopping him. Watch this, guys. You ready? Right, you ready? Watch this space. What do you see? What do you see now? What do you see now? There you go. Do you see what I'm getting at? Right. He's contrajecting into the investigation, meaning he's putting himself in every part of the investigation. Candice has stayed behind. The grandmother has not said anything. And Don is the one, and Don is the controlling one in the family. So he's the spokes, he's the man. He brings home the money for the food on the table. Without him, his family would fall apart. So because he's the only one that can manipulate people, he has to be out there, and he has to keep an eye every day, because if he steps back, like Candice has done, and the grandma's done, they'll more than likely find somewhere. So the more and more he confuses things, the more and more he puts things in the way, the more and more obstacles he puts in the way, the more and more people he has against the investigators, against people like Chris, the more and more he has, of that, the better it will be for him. They always give you a possible perpetrator. Oh, in scenarios that could be possible. Straight off the cuff. Which Don did. It's probably drug addicts. She would go look for the drug addicts. It's probably a kidnap. She would go look for kidnappers. Why don't you put off the things? Because if they do that, then how can they search for your daughter? And then they had a search team that could search for the daughter while the police was doing all the other stuff. And Don discredited them and told them he didn't want them to search no more. So the police have stopped them searching. Do you really believe the police wouldn't let these expert searchers in there, in Don's property? But if Don says you can't, wasn't it made clear by Dave that yes, the parents can call us in and we can do it on the behalf of the parents? So don't say, oh, I'm talking to Dave, I'm trying to get him up here, I'm talking to the police. No, he's doing, again, an illusion. He's telling you, I really want them to come. But then he's telling the police they're not allowed on my property. But the police can't tell us that because they're not mentioning anything at the minute because it could wreck the case. So they're not going to tell anybody that Don's telling them, I don't want this person to investigate on my land, I'm not giving them permission. Then phone Dave up and say, yeah, I'll have you on, no problem, I've got none to hide. You just don't know. But he could be doing that. It's not like the police can come out and say, right, Don told us. He won't do that until after the investigation. And then it'll be, well, Don, the reason, why didn't you get them, the searchers, to come back and search when Don wanted it and Candice wanted it? Why did you do that? You're pathetic as police officers. Whoa, 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 hold on. We asked Don, and Don told us he didn't want them on the property. Careful what you hear with Don, because Don's saying he wants them on. If Don wanted them on, Dave would be on there by now with his crew, because he wants to find Summer. That's what they do. That's their whole forte. The more successes they have, the better they are to find more people, especially children. It's their heart, because they do it for free. They break their backs. They leave their families. And Dave said very clearly, if the parents want us to do it, we can still search their property without the police. The police will just have to work with them. These are experts. They wouldn't run around and damage evidence. They're experts at finding evidence. That's the point of them. So what is stopping the police using them? Don. Don saying to Dave, yeah, I want you on. Don saying to the media, yeah, I want them on. I want them to come in that. But then turning around to the police officers saying, don't you dare let them on my property. I'll sue him if they get on my property. Don't you dare. And all the police can say is, no, I'm sorry. At this moment in time, we can't have you on the property. Yeah, because Don's telling you not to. And the police have got there's no way the police can go against what Don wants unless they get an injunction or they get one of those court things. Right. So that's what I think he's doing. Diversion. Don is on all the time. Now he's got a platform, because he didn't want to do his own platform, because he was probably told not to. He was probably not told to do a YouTube channel, but go on someone who's got a lot of followers, who's controversial just like you, so people can battle, who they would believe you and want to find Summer just as bad, but at the same time wants because they've done so much bad, they want their channel to grow, because they're desperate for the channel to grow. You need to find that kind of person. Boom. Voice behind the wall. Perfect candidates. Perfect candidates for the diversion. Because Chris had a platform. Everyone else has got platforms. He wasn't allowed to make one, a YouTube channel, where he could sit and talk and do things, where I would have, because I'm an innocent parent, and I would have done that channel, and I would have said, right, here's our investigation, here's what's happening, and I've been in the public eye constantly. But Don saying, no, I can't make a channel, oh no, I can't do that. His channel will go flying off the wall. He could make loads of money off this, but then it'll look bad on him, you see. Empathy. He tries so hard for people to get confused with empathy, to make you believe that he's such a hurt father, that he would never hurt his child, looks at you in the eyes, but yet no tears. Is able to say Summer's name without the voice shaking. If you listen to parents who have lost their kids, that haven't done anything to their kids, that have genuinely lost their kids, the voice shakes. They can't bring up their names without stuttering and without like just breaking down. Don can very easily. These are what the experts will be looking for, and this is what Don doesn't want. He doesn't want them to find the needle in the haystack and then go to Don, try and reveal his magic trick. That's why he's getting angry. Because out of everyone, there's only a small number of people in this world that believes him. And he used to be the center of his universe. He used to be his God. In his universe, he used to be the God. I have a boss, but I'm the boss, and I decided if he had a job or not. I decided if he was good enough or not. Don't you think, guys, Don showed you his varicose veins because a lot of people know about drugs and the effects of drugs. So why everyone's going on about his legs? They're not going on about what he's saying. He's diverting yous. They're varicose veins because he's been on stilts for most of his life doing the same job. Just like nurses. If you look at nurses, retired nurses, they have exactly the same varicose veins. Because they stand up a lot. He stands up on stilts a lot. That's his job. He's going to have them kind of, like, that's his occupational hazard. Eventually he'll have to have them operated on because they'll come too painful. But Don needed you to see that, so most of you would believe it was drugs and that. So now you can come off the fact that he's a predator and go on the fact that he takes drugs and he injects himself with. Don't you see the illusions he's putting in, the diversions? He did this not to show you that he was right, not to show you this is what I did, look, this is what I did the night my daughter went missing. How could you remember that? How could you remember every movement? The woman on there, if you look at the interview with Voice Behind the Wall, there was a woman on there said, I didn't even remember what my daughter was wearing, what I'd eaten, nothing. But that's what the police expect. Investigators expect you not to remember stuff. But Don remembers every single trail. He remembers every single movement. But yeah, he doesn't remember what someone was wearing for bed when he woke up that morning. He remembers the car, the truck that he started. He remembers the police officer. He couldn't even give you the police officer's description of the lady. Scruffy hair, brown eyes. Looks like she just woke up. Give you the descriptions of how he drove up in the panic. He remembers what he looked for, where he looked for it, how he looked for it, how he drove up there, what he was doing with the car, what he was doing with his hands, what he was looking at. It doesn't make sense. He was distraught. He just found out his daughter's missing. She could have been ravished by animals. You need to get home because she could have been hurt or damaged in the woods. Something's happened. You need to get home and find out. Let's go. What have you done? Nobody drives to a certain area unless you say, I'm going to drive to this area just in case she's fell down there or gone down there. Otherwise, 99.9% of people will rush straight to the house to find out where they've been, what they're doing, who's doing it, who's on the job, everybody's out, right, and then go say, right, I need this person to go here, go there, go here, and I'm going to go there. I need everyone to keep everybody else in twos because it's dangerous, and let's go find her. You don't make an assumption she's been stolen straight away. A child will always run off. Like I said before, they've kept them kids safe all this time. So what do they mean? That they actually lock their children in the house? If you listen carefully, that's abuse. What happens if there's a fire and they can't get out because the parents have locked them in and just gone out? Is that why CPS took them away? Because of what Candace said. We normally locked them in. They were locked. The top and bottom was locked in, so the boys couldn't get no one in, no one out. It's not twisting it. Next minute, the CPS come and take the boys away. Yeah, because if you lock your children in the house with no access in or out, because they would have been asked, Chris might have cut that out. And we won't know that until after the investigation. But what if Chris cut out? Well, what about the keys? Couldn't your eldest boy use the keys? No, we would have took it with us. Don's got a set, I've got a set. That's it. And CPSs go, whoa, you've just left your kids all day in a hot sweltering house with no access out if there was a fire. Do you see what I'm saying? So Candace has got your empathy. Candace is sitting back because she's got your empathy. She's done that now. She doesn't have to do any more than that. She did the interview. She got your empathy. She heard what people were saying. They're attacking Don and only Don. You're throwing your wife under the bus. It's not your wife's fault, it's your fault. We believe it's you. So all the heat is off Candace. Candace has got everyone's empathy. Everyone's talking about Don now. Not Summer, not Candace, not Candace's mum. Don. They've confused everything. And they've give you the diversion that's needed. Now he needs to get people to get empathy in that, to keep phoning the police in with a load of crap. So the police has to, because Don will know that they have to, every call that's made has to be followed up. Because if they don't, it might be that one call. So there's nothing stopping Don getting people to phone in that trust that he's innocent. Say, well, you can help me by phoning in the police. Bet you any money Voice behind the walls done it. Phoned the police and said, well, I think she could be kidnapped. I think it could be this. Because if they get 3 or 4 calls of the same call, they have to investigate it. Just saying, be careful of this. The diversions and the empathy of what Don's doing with his platform. They need a platform. They need a platform. So they can tell you these 3 things. They can tell you all this and show you all this with a platform. It's easier now than it ever was. He only mentions the victim on occasion. All perpetrators that were found guilty has all this. This is what they've all got in common. There's your homework. Go find out yourselves if you don't believe me. This is what they've all got in common. This is what they all do. This is just what I found that was in common with every single perpetrator, and that was found guilty. And in the end, the bodies were found, and they did it. 100%. There's no way you couldn't say they didn't do it. And because I only went for them to prove that every single one of these that had this trait was caught and was, the bodies were found and DNA was found on the perpetrator and they were arrested. And then they admitted it years later in their books and stuff to make films and stuff. But this is it. This is exactly the trait. And Voice behind the walls just give them his platforms, and now he's not going to stop. They get money, they get more people, and Don gets his empathy. Don gets his diversions. Don gets to give his half-truths. Don gets to be the best illusionist he can be. Don can still inject into the investigation via Voice behind the wall. Voice behind the wall be doing all the work. Don doesn't have to. Voice behind the wall, and I'm not saying they're puppets. I'm saying that Don's got them. Don's got them because he's confused them. That's all they are, confused. And that's what perpetrators do. They confuse their victims. They make their victims believe that they're the only people in the world. Now, don't forget, he's done that with Candace. He's done that with Candace's mum. He's done that with the children. He's done that with people around him. He's done that with his boss. I'm the greatest thing in your life. Without me, you'd be crapped on. So, I hope you did enjoy Don's video. Unfortunately, now everybody's going to be talking about that, talking about the fact there's no cobwebs. He didn't move. Was it the right one? What do you think of Don's thing? They are giving you diversions and making you have empathy for him and making you confused. So you sit there and think, well, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he wasn't involved. Maybe he was at work. But just remember to listen to Don as well. Slow it down. Listen to it over and over again. Close your eyes. Put yourself in that position. Because he clearly said his boss and the people he worked with keep questioning him. But that's not what Voice Behind the Wall said. They said that she phoned his boss up, and his boss was adamant he was there all day. She phoned his co-workers up, and they said, yeah, he was there all day. Did he go out at all? No, not as far as we know. He was there all day. So why would they question him? If they know it was an impossibility for Don to do that, why would they question him? Thank you, everybody. Keep very safe. Keep your family safe. And for all my subscribers that have got insomnia and are very good parents to their autistic children, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It makes me feel good to know there is parents out there who do love their children, no matter what they are, no matter what they look like. And for everybody who's standing by this channel, thank you so much. And for those who have a different opinion, thank you for being brave enough to bring it forward. I appreciate that. And we'll catch you in a while, crocodile.